New York City, it's home to iconic buildings, famous museums, and world-class shopping. And it's also home to millions of people, making it one of the most diverse and impersonal communities in the world. But now, Brandon Stanton, a self-taught photographer who took up photography as an escape from his stressful day job, has set out to humanize New York City and the people who walk its streets every day, one human and one story at a time.
I actually got a camera just as a way to relieve stress from work. So I would trade all week in Chicago, and then I would go downtown on the weekends with this nice camera I got and just kind of relieve stress by photographing everything that I saw. And not too long, only about 2 months after I kind of started doing that as a hobby, I lost my job. And I said, I'm just gonna take some time off. I'm gonna travel around, I'm gonna take photos in different cities around America. And then I arrive in New York, and it's the most interesting, dense collection of people I had seen yet. And so I started kind of having the idea for this blog. Excuse me. I was wondering if there's any way I could take your photograph. I run a popular photo blog called Humans of New York, and I just, it was a very long process to figure out exactly how to approach somebody. When I first started, I was trying everything. I was trying to explain everything, tell all about myself, and I'd be very nervous. And after years of doing this and probably stopping about 10,000 people on the street, I've whittled it down a lot to where really all I do is I say, do you mind if I take your photograph? And if there's a bit of a hesitation, I will say, I run a very popular photo blog called Humans of New York. And I found it's not really about what you say that elicits somebody's cooperation. It's more about the energy that you're giving off when you say it. What is your greatest struggle right now? All of my best quotes and all my best stories and all my best content come out of the interactions that I forget that I'm in an interview and the person forgets that they're in an interview, and suddenly it's just two people having a conversation.
Because I had never been unstable, I had never done anything risky.
I do have some lead-in questions that I kind of use as prompts. Give me one piece of advice. What's your greatest struggle? What was the happiest moment of your life? But the real meat of the interview and the real quality of the content comes from the follow-up questions, when I just kind of get lost in their story.
My greatest struggle is to feel like what I do is enough. My greatest struggle is not to feel empty inside.
I suddenly learn a little bit about this person, and I become very genuinely curious about them. And these questions that I'm asking them emerge from a very genuine curiosity.
So I played a wedding, and then I went to this, I played a Rubelot party right after that.
Just like that. There we go. People can detect genuineness, and they can detect artifice. By just being as natural and as human as possible, you can really connect with people. Awesome, thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Picture will be up in the next 2 or 3 days.
Okay,
Awesome.
I'll look for it.
Yeah. What would you say the main cultural difference is between Poland and America?
We drink way more vodka. It's true.
What is this? Who is that?
Chopin.
Ooh. The story outweighs the photograph. And I kind of learned that the first time I ever used a story, because Humans of New York have been around for over a year of me working every single day before I even wrote a caption. It used to be a pure photography blog. Then one day I took this very poor picture of a woman who was dressed all in green, and the lighting was bad, the composition was bad, and I said, I can't even use this, it's so bad. But after a couple days I got sick and I couldn't go out and photograph one day, and I ran out of photos, and I said, well, I got this picture of this green lady, and I remember she had told me, she said, I used to be a different color every day, But one day I tried green, and it was a good day. So I've been green for 15 years. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna put the photo up, and I'm gonna put that little quote on top of it. And next thing I knew, it was the most popular post I'd ever had. And ever since then, it's been an evolution into storytelling. Look at that, right there.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful image.
Yeah.
My man.
Again.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
One of the, kind of threads of the fan mail that I get at Honey talks about how it kind of humanizes New York. That, the image of New York is kind of this cold, maybe dangerous place to a lot of people that don't live here. And that, Honey, by putting a face to New York, really sort of kind of humanizes the city. And so I thought, well, if this art form has this effect, where's somewhere else that's feared? Where's somewhere else that's misunderstood? Iran was in the headlines every single week with a negative story attached to it. So I said, I'm gonna go over there and just portray normalcy. Just, not look for good stories, not look for bad stories. Just depict what I saw. And I stopped about 130 people on the street through the help of a translator, and only 3 turned me down in Iran. Isn't that fascinating? Whereas 1 out of every 3 in New York have turned me down, and only 3 out of 100 turned me down in Iran. So it was a really amazing experience. Still, even after all that's happened, something that I view as possibly the most important thing that I've done with Humans of New York. Okay, let's try this. I don't even call it a photography blog anymore. I call it a storytelling blog with images and words. If you were to give one piece of advice to a large group of people, what would your advice be? Gradually I've tried to learn how to tell the deepest possible story I can from these very short interactions that I have on the streets. What was the word you used?
I was in a place of stasis.
I feel like the moment you start looking for something in particular, then sort of patterns start to emerge in your work. And I'm very kind of sensitive to, patterns. If there's been too much of any type of person, any demographic, in a given period, I say, okay, it's time to mix it up. So, really I'm looking for anyone that seems approachable. I do very much enjoy the perspectives of people who are starting out their lives and people who are towards the end of their life. It's just because one of them's looking at it with very fresh eyes, and the other, they've had these layers and layers and layers of experience, And I think both at the beginning of our lives and at the end of our lives, we're in a very reflective mode. So I feel like a lot of the most interesting interactions and quotes comes from those 2 demographics. When I first moved to New York, 10,000 people following my work would have been a huge success. I remember sitting in Central Park one night and I was putting on like 10 Facebook fans a day. And I was like, man, if this keeps up for 3 years, 10,000 people will be following my work. And I remember just thinking that was gonna be the greatest thing ever, 10,000 people. I think we put on 15,000 yesterday. So yeah, it's been quite a success.
That's it for this week. Join the conversation with us on social media. We are CCTV America on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.